This episode is for you if you have found yourself trying to get a narcissistic, a manipulative, a toxic person to understand you. Understand how their actions affect you, how it makes you feel, how it's hurting the relationship, how they can do better. And you want them to just get it. You want them to have this epiphany and to even regret their behavior. My short answer to that is that not everyone deserves your truth. Not everyone deserves to hear about your feelings. Let's get into it. This is going to change the way you handle these people. Welcome back to my channel. If you are new to me, my name is Nailah Abdullah. I'm a mental health therapist, and after overcoming my own experiences with toxic and narcissistic family and romantic relationships, I am passionate about working with other women who are also ambitious, also all about personal development, who are ready to just stop going through this mess, who are ready to heal and move on after the impact of toxic or narcissistic relationships, as well as breaking the cycle of toxic relationships for good. So as we dissect that advice, that tip of not everyone deserves your truth, the first part of that I want you to consider is that I understand that may go against your morals and your values. I know that it's contradicting to most people's values, is that we are supposed to tell our truth, especially in a relationship. We're supposed to be open. We're supposed to express ourselves. We're supposed to tell our truth to the person that we're with if we're trying to work on the relationship, because we want to be fair. We want to put in effort into making the relationship work. However, when you get to a place where you realize that this person is manipulative, that this person has been emotionally destructive to you, even if you're not sure, depending on what phase you're in, but you're starting to see these signs, you have to start adapting a mindset shift that I've had to adapt and that I work on with my clients to adapt, is what I call different rules apply. So yes, it is good to be honest. Yes, it is good to be open in relationships and to discuss and communicate your feelings and your experiences in certain situations. But when you are dealing with these type of people, different rules apply. So for those of you who are new here and have not heard different rules apply, it basically means you have to be able to determine and decipher what version of me does this person need to see, right? So it doesn't mean you need to change who you are. It doesn't mean you need to be a complete dishonest and dishonest person, a person who's not really being open about who they are or how they feel. But when you see that this person do have these tendencies, then you have to change how you deal with them. And that is a part of the healing process, right? The word heal is such a broad term. There's so many layers and components to it. But healing also means being able to learn, being able to evolve, being able to be a little bit more wise in how you deal with different situations and with different types of people. So these types of people, these manipulative people, these toxic narcissistic people, the truth only works with people who want a healthy relationship, who want to resolve conflict, who don't want chaos, right? They want peace. People who are toxic and manipulative, that is a complete opposite of what they want, right? And again, they're good at putting on a mask. They're good at pretending that, yes, I want the relationship, I want things to be better, but you have to pay attention to the patterns of behavior, not their words, not their short moments of, saying sweet things or doing nice things. You want to look at the long-term patterns of behavior. And more than likely, you've been with the person, you've been around the person long enough to be able to analyze a pattern of their behavior. So this brings you into a situation where you're actually trying to get someone to understand you and believe you and work with you when that's not their intention. And the sooner that you accept that truth, the sooner you will get to a place where you stop putting in energy and efforts and false expectations that this person has the same motive that you do. You want peace, you want happiness, you want a healthy relationship. That's not what they want. So they're not going to do anything positive or productive with your truth, which is why they don't deserve it. So in order to truly heal and move on, it's not just about looking at them and pointing the finger. Yes, we know they have issues, but it's also about us, right? Because we will always run into people like this, but it's about who are we that not only will allow us to move on and heal from that situation, but will also prevent us from being stuck in the future with these type of people. So the second point that I would want want you to consider when we're talking about trying to explain yourself to a narcissist, to a toxic or manipulative person, is what happens when you do give them your truth. We already established that you should not give them your truth and why. But what happens to you when you do? What happens is you are setting yourself up for false expectations, right? There's a small part of you that when you give your truth to them, although you may know that you're not supposed to, you are holding on to some smidget of hope that they are going to get it, that they're going to do something productive with that truth that you give them, that they're going to reflect. Now, some of you may say, no, I just want to give a piece of my mind, Nailah. I'm not expecting anything from them. I know who they are now. But I can say this because I've been there before. When you are posting those memes on your social media platforms, when you are posting things on your WhatsApp or whatever it is, where you're talking about toxic people and narcissists and this and that, there's a small part of you that is hoping that they see it, and it clicks. Right? And that they feel something, right? And that alone, and I'm not judging you, like I said, I've been there before, but I want you to keep in mind that that is still setting yourself up for some form of disappointment, right? Because you are still holding on to some hope that this person will eventually get it. And you have to ask yourself, how long do I want this to be my narrative, right? If you have been with someone for a long period of time, enough time to be able to assess their patterns of behavior, at some point you have to let it go. And that is something that is very hard. I know, as I said, I've been through toxic romantic relationships, also toxic and narcissistic family relationships. And that is one of the best things that I did for myself. In my 30s, when I decided to let go certain toxic and narcissistic family members, it broke my heart, right? Because these are people that you were born into, that you grew up around, that you envisioned will be in your life forever. But what saved me was, Nailah, how long do you want this to be your narrative? How long do you want to keep talking about the same thing? At what point, and I'm a little blunt with clients and with myself, at what point do you want to keep being the idiot? Because you can't keep talking about the same thing over and over. You cannot keep complaining about the same thing over and over, and you're not making any change. Right? I don't want that to be my story. I don't want that to be the topic of discussion with family and friends about how someone did me wrong. At some point, I have to now jump in the driver's seat and take back control over my life. I want my conversations to look different. I want my conversations to be positive and uplifting. I don't want to be consumed in drama and on an emotional roller coaster of highs and lows. The third point that I want you to consider when we're talking about trying to explain yourself to a narcissist, toxic, or manipulative person is that you giving them your truth, you opening up your feelings to them can actually backfire on you, right? So what that means is that they take the information that they get from you. They're very intelligent. Even if they may not be intelligent in other areas, they are very tactful and intelligent when it comes to manipulating people. So they will take all of the information that they gather from you, all the pouring out that you give. Oh, you've hurt me. This is what it does to me. This is how things should be better. They calculate. They store a library of data of your feelings, of how you view things in life, how you view situations, what you're loyal to, what your morals are, what your values are. And while there's nothing wrong with that being who you are, as you open that to them, as you open that up to them, they are collecting and they are storing and they are figuring out, how do I leverage this? How do I exploit these parts of this person? It's kind of like when you have your home. You know there's a thief outside of your door, or a thief in the neighborhood, a murderer. You are not going to open that door because you don't want them to come in. You value your home, your safety, your physical safety, the things in your house. You're not going to open that up to them because you know what can happen. And that is the same approach you need to take to yourself, to your emotions, to your spirit, to your soul. Not everyone deserves to hear your innermost thoughts. When they show that is a luxury, that is a privilege for someone to hear what you are actually feeling. And I know it may feel good in the moment to just blurt it out, but value your emotions, value your mental health, value your spirit. the same way you value the materialistic things in your house. Because you will not open that door if you knew someone dangerous was outside of that door. You would want to protect your home. You would want to protect yourself physically and your family physically. It is the same thing when it comes to your emotional, your mental health and well-being. In order to apply the 3 points that we spoke about today, you have to first accept that this person or persons, you may be dealing with multiple, is not who or what you want them to be. And you have to deal with them according to who they are. Now, ideally, my philosophy is that you don't deal with them at all. But until you get to that point, and maybe you have to still deal with them to some extent if you share children or something like that, but that can also be minimal, right? Until you get to that point, you have to deal with them according to who they are. You have to be a different person. You don't need to become bitter. You don't need to become angry as a person, but you do need to be able to turn that switch on and off, right? Think different rules apply to these people. I always give the example, for those of you who know me by now, of the baby rattlesnake and the puppy. When you find both of them out in the wild, you're going to treat that puppy different than you treat that baby rattlesnake. You probably won't even pick up the baby rattlesnake. You'll leave it right there in the forest. But the puppy you may pick up and you may bring home, right? Because you are aware of their characters, of their character, right? You know what's dangerous and you know what's safe. So until you get to the point to accept that this person is actually not safe for me, that is when you will start to implement the 3 points that we spoke about today. They don't deserve your truth, and different rules apply to them. Like I said, I've been where you are, where I have tried to explain and over-explain myself to toxic and narcissistic exes as well as family members. And it wasn't until I got to this point, like I said, of acceptance and changing the way that I deal with people or not dealing with them at all. But it's more so about acceptance that I was able to heal and move on and start a new life of healthy relationships. So if you want to learn a little bit more from my personal experiences, my mistakes, and what I had to do to overcome that, there is more where that came from with other mistakes that I've made. There is a link in the description box below that has a free ebook. The minute you click on it, you get immediate downloadable access to it. It's called The 3 Mistakes That I've Made with Toxic Relationships and How You Can Avoid Them. And that applies to whether you're in the relationship still or you've technically come out of the relationship. Thank you for joining me on this episode. Don't forget to send this to someone who you know needs to hear this information, and I'll see you in the next episode.